Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, Brian Deckard here from a Deckard and Company. Yep. Um, Today we're kind of going to go over some questions that I always get from clients of mine and people that inquire about search engine optimization and content management and stuff like that. So so what we're going to talk about is, should I be blogging or writing articles for my website in 2025? And of course, the answer is absolutely. You should definitely be writing some articles and putting them on your website here in 2025. And we're going to talk about why that is necessary in this live stream. So this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Okay, so before I get going, I'm trying to grow our channel. Yep. So if you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing to our Deckard and Company channel here. And if you like the content, each video that we post, be sure to give it that thumbs up, because that really honestly does help the channel. Help a small business out. Doesn't cost you anything. And you just might get some pretty decent information coming your way that you might want to use. Yeah. Okay. So here we are. So let's get into it. And what we're going to talk about first is we're going to head on over to our website here. And on our website, I've done a couple of blog articles here pretty recently, talking about basically writing articles to put on your website. And before we even get into that, let's do this. So why do you need to write an article or blog on your website? Which most people hear, I don't want a blog. I don't like blogging. I don't like writing, content. I'm not very good. And that's okay, because if you can't do it, you can always hire someone to write articles for you. We do it for our clients all the time, and we don't really charge a whole lot to write a blog article, because you're talking about 1,000 words or less, sometimes a little more. But why do you have to do it? Well, because of Google. That's why. Google, in today's search engine optimization world, right? When we talk about SEO, Google is all about content. Content is king. And if you haven't picked up on that by now, well, you're way behind the times. Basically, Google wants fresh content. It's always looking for fresh content. And what better way to do that than to blog or write that article and put it on your website? Like I said, Google likes, 750 to 1,000 words at least, and make sure that whatever you're writing is relevant. So relevant to your website's content so basically relevant to your business, right? Or your organization. This is relevant information, making you the expert in your field about whatever it is you do. So just keep that in mind as we go through this live stream and talk about this cool stuff called writing or copywriting. Okay, so let's go back here to our website. So like I said, I've written a couple of articles here, and we're going to go over here and take a gander. Okay, we're going to go to our blog, right? So this is our blog archive page, or our blog roll, or whatever you want to call it, article archive, whatever. And the first article that we're going to look at was done in June, and it's basically how to write an SEO-friendly blog post, right? So let's go in here and let's take a look at what we got. Okay, and I'm not going to go through it verbatim, of course. This is going to be a highlight. So I would highly recommend you just going to check this article out, um, because it's really going to give you a pretty decent guide on what you need to make sure you do when you write your blog article for those SEO purposes, which is why we're writing blog articles. We're writing a blog article because we think our visitors want to see this information, right? But number two, in reality, we've got to write these blog articles so that our websites have a greater potential to show up in those search engine result pages. The SERPs is what they're called. Okay. All right, so let's take a look here as we scroll down. So the ultimate guide to writing SEO-friendly blog posts in 2025. I want you to pay attention to that headline, right? Because it's pretty important. It's keyword rich, yeah. So and it's ready. It's great for those click-through rates. So those CTRs, right? Okay. So as we scroll down here, this article is going to explain to you, how to write that article, and what you need to do in order to write that article to perform well in the search. Do you need to spend, hundreds, and I've seen thousands of dollars a month for SEO? Well, only if you can't do this stuff, right? If you can't do, your blog articles, if you're, we see it a lot. You're just way too busy running your business, going out and doing the hustle, right? You're out working it. You don't have time for this stuff. So then, yeah, you might want to consider paying someone, like us here at Deckard and Company or whoever. You want to make sure that this is being done. So you're going to want to pay someone to do it for you. Now, I've got my views on SEO and SEO services and stuff like that. Be wary on who you hire, because SEO has changed so much over the years, and you hire the wrong person, you're probably not going to get really anything done. It's going to be terrible. The articles aren't going to be written very well. So it might tank your website because they don't know what they're doing. So just be careful on who you hire, because like I said, most of this stuff you can do on your own. You just have to do it, do it consistently. So let's add that part, that little caveat at the end. You have to do it consistently. Okay. So the first thing we got to start off with is your keyword. So when you write an article, what's your keyword or key phrase, right? You're looking for those long-tailed keywords. An example here is how to write an SEO blog post. Yeah, that's not very good. So you want to add on to that, or I'm sorry, you don't want to just put an SEO blog, right? Your key phrase, SEO blog, as it says here. And here, let me highlight that for you. Right there. That's not the key phrase that you should be triggered for, right? It's this one, because that there is more than likely what someone is going to type into that search engine, right? Whether it be Google, Yahoo, which is out there, Bing, Brave, whatever search engine they're using, DuckDuckGo, doesn't matter. This is probably what they're going to type in there, not SEO blog. So you want to expand that out to what they call the long tail keywords. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example. So before you're going to write your blog article, you have to come up with, what is your article going to be about? And how hard would it be to rank for that key phrase? Okay. So here is a great little tool, WordStream, which is, this is a fantastic little tool here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to type in a key phrase. And the key phrase that I'm going to type in here is, let's see, I am an appliance repair service company. and I want to do a blog article about refrigerator. Let's see, refrigerator repair services. And then you always want to be specific. So think local SEO. So this article, my company is in Bradenton, Florida. So I'm also going to type in Bradenton here, right? So our key phrase is refrigerator repair services Bradenton, or you could put refrigerator repair services in Bradenton, but this is gonna work out perfect. And then we're gonna hit find my keywords. And then what it's gonna do is it's gonna come to this right here. And we don't want all industries. We want to check to see if our industry just might be in here. And what we're looking for is, as I scroll down here, what we're looking for is this right here, home and home improvement. And we're going to click that. And of course, we're here in the United States, and click continue. And here it's pulling these up. Okay, so the things that you need to really look at when it comes to your key phrase, right? So refrigerator repair Bradenton. You want to look at this first column. How many times is that phrase searched for in 30 days, in a 30-day period of time, right? So it is searched for 140 times. So 140 times in 30 days, this key phrase is being searched for. So that's actually not too bad, right? So then the next thing you want to look at is this very last column. What's the competition rate for that key phrase? And you can see here it's medium. So it's going to be harder to rank well, but that's exactly what I would use because of this right here. Because if we look at these other two key phrases that it popped in there, each one of them are only searched for 50 times in 30 days. And then, but the nice thing is when you look over there at that competition rate, they're low. So if you target that key phrase, these are probably going to come along with it, to be quite honest with you. So target this key phrase and it's going to, it's going to work for you. So this is basic. This is your basic keyword research. Can you go deeper? Absolutely. But this is what most people need to learn when it comes to writing a blog article for their website. It's simple, right? Simple. Anybody can do this. And WordStream, it's free. So if it's free, it's for me, right? So great way that you can do that. Okay, so once you have your key phrase, and then you just go down this list and come up with, okay, so I'm going to write my article. I need to figure out what type of a search intent is this going to be? Are people looking for informational, navigational, transactional, or commercial investigation, right? So you're going to want to kind of figure that. So when you write your article, just keep that in mind. How are most people going to? So what most people, for what we just looked up for this key phrase, they're looking for this one right here, right? An informational, because they're looking for information, because say the refrigerator's broke and they're looking for some help here in Bradenton, Florida. So it's an informational search intent. Okay, so down here is, now we're going to look at nailing the structure, right? So your headlines, your subheads, and the flow of the article. So what I see a lot when we take on a client that we're going to do their blog articles and stuff like that for, so basically their SEO, right? We're doing their SEO. I see this screwed up so many times, and it's basically because people just don't know. So you have, when it comes to headings, these are important, these are meta tags. So you have your H1 through H6, which are your headings, right? Heading 1 is the most important heading on that page. And Google only likes you to have only one, keep that in mind, only one H1 tag. So your H1 tag should be, well, it's the most important heading on the page. So you want it to make sure that it includes your key phrase if possible, and what the article is about. You know, H1, very important. So it's the hierarchy. So then you get down to your H2s. So your H2s are basically your core sections of the content, you know. So you got your H1, which is normally going to be the title of your page. Then you get into your H2s. So those are the next important, and it's basically your section headers, right? And then your H3 through 6, if you have that deep, are going to be your subpoints or your subsections of the main section, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then, you know, try to keep your paragraphs relatively short. You know, and then you want to also include bullet points if possible or numbered lists, because this helps improve readability, right? So that's kind of the way that works. And then right here, you want to make sure that you write like a human. So if you're one of those that goes out and lets AI write your stuff, right? AI writes in a way that you can usually pick up that it's an AI written uh, article. There we go. Spit it out. So what you're going to want to do is, you know, if you do that, make sure that you go through the article and de-AI it, right? So make sure that it sounds, when you read it, like a human, right? You want to make sure this is important because, you know, once again, these search engines do not like AI written content yet. I mean, it's common, you know, but yeah. So just my biggest recommendation is just make sure that your blog article sounds like a human wrote it. And plus, when someone reads it, it sounds natural, right? You know, because you don't, yeah, because they're gonna lose interest pretty quick if it's reading like a robot, basically. So you want to write conversationally. You want to use an active voice if possible, and you want to make sure that you keep it clear and direct, right? So, and then you kind of want to break up some of the sections and stuff like that with questions, examples, and short sentences and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool stuff. And then this right here, you know, optimize your title for clicks, not just rankings, you know, this kind of stuff. So I would highly recommend you kind of go through this first article and just look at it, you know, because it's really giving you some great tips on how to write an SEO blog article. And then this one right here, do not skip the on-page SEO basics, right? So what is that? Your title tag, your meta description, your slug, you know, that URL slug. Do all your images that you put in this article have alt text? If they don't, they have to. They have to have alt text. Every image on your website should have some alt text. And then your keyword, is it in, you know, that keyword, that key phrase that we talked about? Is it in the first 100 words somewhere? And then, of course, make sure your website's mobile responsive and make sure it loads pretty quickly. So yeah, pretty good stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for this. We're not, like I said, we're not going to go through each of these articles verbatim because there's a lot of information in here, but be sure to look in here because it really is a great article to basically figure out how to write these things and then just follow it and you're going to do well in those search rankings. Now it's going to take some time because, like I said, any kind of an optimization campaign, it doesn't happen overnight. SEO is a long process, you know, so once you start it, you have to stay consistent. You have to continue doing it. Like I said, whether you do it or you pay an agency or company to do it. But right here, how long should the blog post be? 1,000 to 2,500 words. Google, like I said, if you're at 750 to 1,000, you're doing pretty good. But of course, the longer the blog post, the better it's going to be, because that's more juicy content for um, Google or any search engine to index. Yeah, so there you go. I think that's pretty good. And then how often? 1 to 2 times a week. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be great. If you can pump out a couple of blog posts every week, you're going to do great. Most people can't do that. They're doing maybe one a week, and some, even go to one a month. But as long as you're doing something, keep it consistent. Okay, so let's move to the next article. And what I want to show you is, let's before we do that, let's go into this one, because this is that keyword research, right? The thing that we just did here. This is a great article as well, which I would highly recommend to look through, read up, because it really is a pretty good article when it comes to how do I research keywords and key phrases. Well, right here. Yep. So this will show you that, like I said, this right here is going to help you do that process. So the keyword research. All right, let's get into the last thing here. So your headlines, right? Oh, headlines are so important, so important. And this is, like I said, your headlines are your header tags. So your H1s through 6, right? So the hierarchy, one H1, you can have several H2s, you can have multiple of H3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. But you want to make sure you keep it in that hierarchy, right? So make sure that it shows Google that this article, this is important. This is, actually, this is really important. That's your H1, that's your title. And this is important. And then, yep, this is almost as important as that, because it's a subsection, right? That's your H3 through 6. Okay, so real quickly, let's just scroll down here and take a gander. Okay, and here I'm going to take a swig of Java. Yeah. Happy Monday to you all, by the way, if you're watching this. Okay, so you wanna come up with catchy article headings, and we're talking locally. So wherever you're located, you always want to think local SEO. And what does that mean? That just means that whatever key phrase you come up with, you dive it down into location. So like around here, if I want an article to rank better in, say, Sarasota, then I'm going to put, say, maybe something like web designer in Sarasota, or website development in, say, Venice. So be specific on your titles. Your H1. Use that key phrase or keyword, and be pretty descriptive. Make it sound human if you can. But yeah, so there you go. Okay, so let's go down here. So just like I said, keep your headings with SEO in mind when you do these things. Okay, so what makes a heading catchy and clickable? So you want to be clear and direct, right? It tells the readers what to expect about this article and about that paragraph or section that they're about to read. You want to make that sucker emotionally charged, and this is going to invoke that curiosity or urgency, right? And then, of course, SEO optimize. So it's going to include those target keywords like Bradenton, right? Locally based. Yeah, so just keep that. And it could also include multiple places, but you want to keep your long tail, anywhere between 3 to, say, no more than no more than 5 or 6 words long. You don't want to make it too crazy. Okay, and then promise driven. This is going to offer that value or the solution to that reader's problem or issue or whatever it is they're looking for, right? So an example of that would be, the boring would be tips for writing headlines. Ah, yeah. You would think, hey, that's pretty good. But to make it catchy, you're going to add a few other little toasty items in there, like 10 proven headline formulas to instantly boost your Bradenton blog's click-through rate. That's a great title right there. That's a great H1. It includes all that clear and direct, emotionally charged, SEO optimized locally with Bradenton in there. Yeah, kind of works. It just kind of works. All right. So down here, we're looking at the top SEO strategies for Bradenton headlines. So notice this right here. That's an H2, right? And it includes my Bradenton location. So I'm keeping that SEO in mind, local SEO. Let's keep that local SEO in mind, that I'm targeting the Bradenton area with this article. Okay, so like you said here, number 1, we want to use local keywords, right? And then leverage numbers and data. So all these little things, just they add up. They really help Google understand your article, makes it more easily readable. And it's really good. And I'm going to tell you the little caveat to all this stuff at the end of this this article that we're talking about. So, you want to use provocative questions, add power words. What's a power word? Words like ultimate, secret, boost. Those trigger that emotional response, right? So those are what they call power words. And then keep it concise. You don't want it to be dull. Aim for 60 characters or fewer so the headline displays fully. So that's your basically your title tag. Google is very finicky when it comes to their meta titles and meta descriptions. You only get so much space. So you want to make sure that those fall within the space. And it's usually done by characters. It tells you by characters or by pixels. So know what it looks like. And it's pretty easy to do. AI can actually help you write, those for you. So, it's just do that prompt correctly. Okay, let's go down here. So this is the step-by-step that's the step-by-step of writing a perfect Bradenton headline, right? So you want to identify your audience. So wherever it is you hail from, and you're targeting locally, identify your audience. Are you targeting Bradenton, small business owners, local bloggers, or tourists? Knowing your audience is going to sharpen your headline, right? It's going to sharpen that headline focus. So once again, research those Bradenton keywords. Use tools like the Google Keyword Planner. It's free. SEMrush has a free version. You don't get a whole lot out of SEMrush for free, but they do have where you can sign up for an account and get it for free to do this keyword research. Or at least they did last time I checked, and they still do. But once again, you can flip over here to WordStream and do a nice little keyword research, pretty basic, but it gives you the information you're going to need to write the article. And then you're going to want to brainstorm your multiple options, test and refine. Yep, test and refine. So if you can, do A/B testing. Which article is performing better, right? It's pretty cool stuff. And then, of course, you're going to optimize for the SEO readability. Okay, so we're going to do some real-world examples of Bradenton headlines that work. Okay, so right here, how Bradenton businesses can double website traffic with better headlines. That is a great headline, right? And then you got the ultimate guide to Bradenton SEO. Write headlines that convert. And then the last one here is Bradenton's secret formula for click-worthy blog titles. Yeah. Those are just some examples. Think about how that would work for your business. What would be a great, catchy headline, and these right here would be great examples of your H1 tag. So this is your top of the top headline that you would want to use. Okay, and then we're going to do this right here because common mistakes, keyword stuffing. I can't tell you how many times we've brought on a new client that has been paying some SEO genius out there to do their SEO. And it's been a year. They're not coming up in the rankings. They're actually dropping a little bit, and they don't know why. And then they come to us, and when we do the audit on their website, and we discover that genius, that SEO genius that you've been paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month, has been keyword stuffing and other bad stuff. So black hat SEO. So whatever you do, do not keyword stuff. And that's enough. I'm going to go on that. Just be careful. Vet the SEO person or company or agency that you're hiring. Get some real world. Ask for people that have used them before for reference, right? And if they're unwilling to give you that stuff, sometimes we can't give that information because confidentiality, right? But for the most part, there's at least 2 to 3, maybe even 5 that you can give out and say, sure, here's a few. But some just because of confidentiality, you can't divulge that information. Okay, so and then another common mistake, being too vague. Great headline ideas versus proven headline ideas for Bradenton small businesses. So there it is. Don't be too vague. And then ignoring the search intent. So make sure you're hitting matches what Bradenton readers are actually searching for. So that's where that keyword research is going to come in. And what you're looking for there is this first column right here. You're looking for the search volume. How many times in 30 days is someone looking for that key phrase, right? So that's where that first volume comes in, or first column, sorry. Yep. And then don't overpromise. Whatever you do, don't overpromise, right? So don't make claims your article can't back up. All right. Okay, so here we are. How many keywords should I use in a heading? So stick to one Bradenton area keyword per headline for clarity and maximum SEO impact, right? And then, howdy do, Wiki Design. Hopefully you guys are doing great. Yeah, these early morning live streams are, pretty rough, especially when you had hockey the night before and you get busticated. I don't know if you can see. There it is. Look at that. Yeah, I'm sore today. Yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well up there in the Pennsylvania area. Yeah, Philadelphia, I guess we could say, since that's where you're from. All right, let's continue on here. Let's see. You want to, can I use the same headline formula for it? No, mix it up. Repeating the same structure is going to make your content feel stale. And then, should my headline always mention Bradenton for local SEO? Absolutely. Yep. If you're targeting Bradenton or, say a specific state, it depends on how far you're trying to reach, then yeah, you're going to want to make sure that you use that local descriptor in there, either be Bradenton, Sarasota, let's say like Wiki Design, Philadelphia, that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool stuff. And the headline length, aim for 50 to 60 characters because, like I said, Google only gives you so much room. And you want to make sure that your headline fits in that freaking space. So that's usually no more than 60 characters, but it also goes by pixel width. So sometimes 60 characters, if you have long words, might pop out of that pixel width. So you want to make sure you're wary of that. And then, can I update old headlines for better SEO? Well, absolutely you can. And I would highly encourage that. So go through your old articles and kind of uh, refurbish them, right? Go through, fix the headline articles, make sure, like I said, all your articles have pictures and the pictures have alt tags. So make sure all that stuff's updated, right? Yeah, that'll just help you. Okay, so I think that's pretty good right there. So one thing that if you follow this guideline, AI, we're going to talk about AI really quickly because AI is becoming huge in the search results, right? So when we look at our clients, where people are coming from. So what search engine are they using? And one of the biggest up and comers right now is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, you've got Gemini, and there's others out there. But people are starting to do searches using AI. So how do you perform better on those? So here's the difference between ranking well on AI, where it is just ranking well with your Google organic search. So AI not only, well, before I even go into that, so we've got, like I said, there's some shady SEOers out there. And we see it every day. And we just had one of our clients get one of those, oh my God, the world is falling email. You don't have this, you don't have that. And I'm like, we're doing your SEO, and I can guarantee you have all those. And I had to run my own report and send to them and show them, yeah, they sent you the doom and gloom email hoping that you would. And they wanted to charge them, and this is no kidding, $8,000 a month to fix their problems. Oh, wow. Yeah. Shady turds right there. Shady turds. Stay away from people like that. If you get that unsolicited email telling you that your website sucks and it's terrible, it's performing horrible and blah, 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 stay away from those people because they're full of crap. Most of them are full of crap. But part of that $8,000 a month, and the reason I'm telling you this story, is that $2,500 of that per month was going to go for AI optimization. Oh, these idiots. Yeah. And, and if you're one of those poor saps that fall for this stuff, then I got news for you. You don't have to spend $2,500 a month to rank well with AI. Optimize your website. You can do it yourself. You can completely do it yourself. You don't have to pay anybody to do it. But of course, if you don't have the time to do it, then of course you're going to pay someone and let them go through your website and optimize it. But the way AI differs from the way Google pops you out there in those organic searches is that Google just basically looks at your website, right? It's looking at your website. Is your website optimized? Those headings, images, is it quick loading? That kind of stuff, right? We can go through the whole SEO checklist, but I'm not gonna. But as long as your website is optimized, you're gonna start performing well in those Google searches. So create content. Content is key. But AI, it not only looks at your website, it looks at all other citations of your business. Do you belong to the BBB? Do you belong to a chamber of commerce? What your reviews look like? It's looking at all those local directories out there like Yelp. Ugh, I hate Yelp. But it's also looking at Google's reviews, Facebook reviews, or recommendations, I should say. So it's pulling in all this information, as well as, are you showing up on other websites like guest blogging? Are there backlinks? A good example of that, here in Bradenton, we have a great little organization, Realize Bradenton. Do you have any articles on there that they're talking about you? So they're looking for all these citations, they put it together, and that's how they're going to rank you, right? So do you have to pay someone $2,500 to optimize? No, but you are going to have to do some work to get onto these other ways that people can find you, because that's what AI is looking for. They're looking for all those other things about you, your business. So play well with your neighbors, I guess we could say. Yeah. So get in there and work on, getting onto other websites, blogs, directories, stuff like that. That when AI does its search for you, it's going to find your website. It's going to, look at that well-optimized website. And it's going to, yeah, that's pretty good. And then, ooh, they belong to the BBB. So we're going to bring them up. Oh, they belong to the Manatee Chamber of Commerce. We're going to bring them up. So that's basically how it works. So I hope I explained that good enough. So AI is becoming huge. So when you write your articles, keep that in mind and get out there and do other stuff. Let's see, our videos rank well. Yeah. Okay. So that is 100% correct. Yes. Videos rank well in ChatGPT. And, and video is the king of all content, and we've talked about this before, like Barbara and Mark over at Wiki Design. We talked about how AI kind of does things, and how AI has a couple of these AI engines that look at, so let's say you put one of your YouTube videos on your website. Guess who's looking at that stuff? AI. AI is looking at this stuff. And Google's AI engines actually can watch, listen, and comprehend videos and audio. So like podcasts and stuff like that. It can understand and comprehend all that stuff. So it's pretty crazy where AI has come just within the last, say, couple of years. I mean, just within the last year, it has really skyrocketed on what it can do and what it can do for you. You just have to make sure that you do it right. That's the thing, and choose the right AI platform to get into. Do you really want to pay for AI? I mean, there's so many things that go into this stuff. But I will say, I've been having fun with some AI stuff here, like just video stuff. I made my hound dog Russell talk. He's done a couple of little videos for us. I finally decided that I'm going to get on that Sasquatch, and I kind of played with it the other day and had Sasquatch. I call him Harry, of course, a reference to Harry and the Hendersons. If you've never seen Harry and the Hendersons, if you haven't seen Harry and the Hendersons, you need to go watch Harry and the Hendersons, because that is my main man Sasquatch right there. But I was able to have Harry talk about Deckard and Company, and talks about me. So it's pretty funny how that stuff works. But yeah, it's all about writing those prompts, is get your prompts nailed down, and it's fun. I'm a nerd. I get it. And I love doing stuff like that. So it's like, playing with the videos, playing with images. Are you having a hard time coming up with an image? Be very descriptive and let AI come up with something. And it might be pretty damn good. And you might say, yeah, that's pretty good. So, yeah, So if you have that block, use AI to help you. It's not that big a deal. But like I said, if you're writing an article and you let AI write it and then you just copy and paste it, yeah, be sure to read through the article once again and de-AI it because you can definitely tell when an article is completely written in AI. So, yeah. All right. So I think I've rambled on long enough. So hopefully you all have a great rest of your Monday. And once again, it's all about the Squatch. It's all about the Squatch, your Java. And you all enjoy the rest of your week. And until next time, do take care and all that. Peace. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye now.